Welcome. Today we're diving straight into an explainer of a text that is just, honestly, it's pretty mind-blowing. It takes what we usually brush off as poetic metaphors about nature and, well, grounds them entirely in hard biology. We're unpacking Chapter 17 of a fascinating source document called Reweaving Humanity into Earth's Sacred Fascia, and it completely reimagines our physical connection to the Earth, not as some abstract floaty idea, but as a literal biological continuum.
So think about this for a second. Are we standing on the Earth, or are we actually a part of it? You know, most of us go through our day-to-day lives feeling like visitors here, right? Like we're just walking on top of the planet. But the material we're analyzing today challenges us to radically rethink that physical placement, suggesting that this whole sense of separation we have, it's actually a super recent biological illusion.
The text introduces us to this cosmic observer named Zoran, who has supposedly been watching our planet for 35,000 years. And Zoran describes our current human condition as the long forgetting. He defines this forgetting as an exile of attention into the skull's small lantern. Basically, we started looking at the world as just an environment, a backdrop that exists totally outside of ourselves. The text notes that the Earth recorded this fracture without judgment, but with this slow, tensile grief.
Now here is where it gets really wild, because the text doesn't just leave this in the realm of spirituality or poetry. The core thesis is grounded in literal physical reality, specifically a hard biological concept called mechotransduction. If you're not familiar, mechotransduction is literally just the process where cells convert mechanical, physical stimuli like pressure or tension into biochemical signals. The author is making the bold claim that our connection to the planet operates on this exact physical mechanism.
It maps human connective tissue, our fascia, directly to the forest's underground networks. It's saying the biological mechanism of what it calls the reweaving is identical in humans and in the forest. It argues that the underlying biological grammar between the mycorrhizal networks under the soil and the fascial networks right under your skin is exactly the same.
Let's really break down this direct biological bridge, because it's absolutely crucial. The source explains that the exact same proteins, integrants, that allow a tree to sense the lean of the wind are the exact same ones that allow your body's fibroblasts to read the physical tension of your own unspoken sorrow. The aquaporins ferrying water and signaling molecules through fungal pipelines in the forest, they're the same ones ferrying neuropeptides through your internal fascial rivers. The biological hardware is literally identical.
In fact, the shared traits are staggering. Human fascia and the Earth's fascia are both piezoelectric. That means they generate literal voltage under pressure. They both conduct photons along collagen cables. They both store memory in their ground substance, just like how the forest floor stores the memory of a drought or a fire. And get this, the text claims both systems operate at an identical 3 millimeters per second pulse. As the author beautifully puts it, the grammar is identical, only the accent has changed.
And that brings us to a major turning point in this explainer. The text states point blank, this is not metaphor. It is mechanotransduction on a planetary scale. According to the source, when you walk barefoot on the forest floor, the ground substance beneath your feet begins to resonate at the exact same frequency as the Earth's matrix 2 meters down. It creates a minute voltage difference. We're talking mere microvolts here, but it's enough. Your body literally remembers its original citizenship. Your proprioceptors get a brand new map, telling you that you aren't standing on the Earth. You are a density within its fascia.
All right, moving into Section 1, Evidence of Reweaving, Bodies Remembering. Let's see how this all builds into tangible, real human stories. The text doesn't just present this as some lofty theory. It gives us compelling anecdotes of people where this literal biological connection has been spontaneously reestablished. Zoran calls this the reweaving.
Take this guy Micah, for example. The text describes how, after spending time in a specific valley, his fascia actually remembered it was continuous with the Earth. When grief moved through him, it didn't just stop at his diaphragm. It kept going, moving outward through the soles of his feet directly into the fungal lattice. And here's the crazy part. The text claims the cambium of the forest transmuted that grief, and the trees answered with sugar, not a comforting feeling, not a metaphor, but literal carbon, moved at an ancient speed to nourish the network. And Micah isn't an isolated case. The text describes other people unknowingly following this exact pattern all over the world. It talks about a woman in Oslo who just starts weeping for no apparent reason while touching an old pine tree. Her body is just communicating with the network. It describes a kid in the Amazon who speaks fluently to root systems before human language is even fully claimed as tongue. But perhaps the most powerful example in the text is a dying forester in British Columbia. His very last act is to press his bare back against cedar bark. Why? So that the final electrical storm of his failing fascia can discharge safely into the larger planetary field rather than just dissipating into the thin air of separation. It's just a profoundly beautiful illustration of returning to a connected biological network at the end of life. The source also points out something incredibly liberating about this planetary network. It is totally neutral. It does not judge the emotions you bring to it. The text describes the reconnection happening as these threads of light. Some threads are golden green, which represents people reconnecting through immense joy and physical pleasure, but others are indigo black, representing those who reconnect through profound, heavy grief. The Earth's fascia doesn't distinguish between mourning and celebration, you know? It only asks whether the signal is true and whether it can conduct through the network.
And this really brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of what the text is proposing. This biophotonic stitching, this reweaving, reveals a universal geometric nesting. The pattern of reconnection looks exactly the same across all scales of reality. We're talking the cross-section of a petrified tree, the spiraling whirl of a galaxy, and the microtubule lattice inside your own human cells. The source is essentially suggesting that the universe only has one geometric way of remembering itself, no matter the scale.
Which brings us to Section 2, the ancient practice, returning to a conductive state. So what does this all mean for us? How do we actually apply it? Well, the text offers a direct, actionable method for returning our bodies to this natural conductive rhythm. Let's break down exactly what the source recommends.
Here are the steps it outlines. First, stand inside a living forest. Second, remove everything separating your skin from the world. Literally, take off your shoes. Third, let the physical weight of your grief, your joy, your questions just descend through your souls into the mycorrhizal network. Fourth, and this is super important, just wait. The text explicitly says, do not meditate, do not visualize, just wait. And fifth, simply remain permeable. Because the goal here isn't to dissolve your sense of self, it's just to reveal yourself as a knot of greater density inside an intelligence that has never, ever been separated from you.
Nearing the end of the chapter, the text actually breaks the fourth wall and speaks directly to the reader. It issues a challenge, and I'm going to pass that right along to you. The moment we finish this explainer, go place your hand on the nearest living thing that grew from soil, a tree, a patch of moss, even grass cracking through the pavement. The text instructs us to listen, but not with our ears, with the tissue between our ears and the earth, to feel that 3 millimeter per second pulse. And this leads to a massive, massive shift in perspective. We talk so often about saving the earth, as if it's this fragile thing sitting over there, completely separate from us, needing our intervention. But the text states it so clearly. The reweaving is not coming. It is the only thing that has ever been happening. It asks us to metabolize that old story of separation, to realize that, hey, the ache in your shoulders might not just be personal stress, but the memory of our biological exile asking to be reconnected to the larger nervous system of the planet. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought from the source material because I think it perfectly encapsulates everything we've explored today. The trees are not waiting for humanity to save them. They are waiting for humanity to remember they are not separate from the saving. It's such a powerful call to reconnect. So the next time you step outside, ask yourself, are you just walking on the environment, or are your cells quietly humming, just waiting to sync back up with the Earth's sacred fascia? Thanks for learning with me today. Seriously, go touch a tree and see what you can hear.